Hello, my name is Kevin Joshua Burnham, and I would like to continue talking about giving. In my last video, I talked about giving into the form of giving of yourself. Now here's a continuation of giving of yourself, and that is the giving of yourself into the form of service. Here's the form of service, and that's a military branch. We could talk about, you could be the private, the first class private, the corporal, specialist, sergeant, staff sergeant, and it continues ranking all the way up from lieutenant, sergeant major, the captain, major, general. That's just one example of a form of service, and that's through the military. Think about the form of service through your ministry. When you go to your church or any church, you will see there is people greeters, there is people who are ushers, those who plays the music, the musicians, the worship leader. You've got the pastor, senior pastor. You have those that works in nursery. You have different forms that's in the ministry field. There is also missionaries, evangelists, those who go into the form of service for our Lord. Now maybe Christ hasn't called you to be into the service of a local church or your church, but maybe He has called you into the form of service through your job. You could be at a restaurant, you could be the server, you could be the cashier, you could be the cook, the line cook, the manager, the one who washes all the dirty dishes that come. However you're doing it, as long as you're doing it into the honor of Christ. If you're doing it for God's glory, for His will, you could tell others about God. You could be a car salesmanship. You can be a house seller. You could be someone who works at a warehouse, a lumber place, whatever it is that you are doing, as long as you're doing into the service of Christ. And if you say that you're a simple person, that you don't believe you have any ambition, you don't believe that God could call you in whatever position, job you're at, that you could do God's will. God used the most simple people. We read it all through the Old Testament, through the New Testament. He called the shepherds. He called the fishermen, low class ranking. He called those from the high ranking, from tax collectors. He called a physician. He called different fields of people who had different forms of work, as long as they were serving God, as long as they were putting Christ first. Whatever we do, we honor God. In John 12:26, it says, if anyone serves me, he must follow me, and where I am, there my servant will be also. If anyone serves me, the Father will honor him. He will honor you, as long as you're continuing in the service of God. Always remember to put Him first. When you first wake up, pray, think about how you can serve Christ, of how you could put God into the streets, of how you could tell your neighbor, your family, your friend, those that you come in contact that you really rather not talk to. Think about how you can continue putting Him out. Remember, you are a very unique creature. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. God could use you in so many ways, in so many fields, if we just open ourselves and we ask Christ with our heart, how may we serve you? How can we put you first? How can we tell others about you, about this joy, about this love I have, about this who I worship, who is my life, who is my relationship? This is a relationship you have with Christ. So why would you not tell others about your relationship? You tell others about your relationship, about your wife, of how much you love her. You tell her about, or your husband, or your children, or your friends. It's part of our conversation. So part of your conversation should be also telling others about God, about your Lord. Use this as a form of service, serving Him, telling others about Him. Remember to continue to always put Him first in everything. And my prayer is that you do this, and that it will never cease.